center. Back to throw, popped it right corner end zone. Caught by O'Leary. Touchdown, Seminoles. Fourth down, goal to go from the 3. He looks, guns it over the middle. Caught, touchdown! Touchdown, Underwood! In state of shock, the third-ranked Seminoles.
What a moment last October the 6th as E.J. Manuel and Mike Glennon doing battle on the collegiate stage. Glennon out-dueling Manuel in the late seconds, and North Carolina State with a stunner knocking off the previously unbeaten Seminoles. A look at the weather. Not as warm in Buffalo at this time. 29 degrees there, but 83 and sunny, low 80s here. It feels even hotter down on the field. Buffalo wins the toss. They defer, so Tampa to receive. Eric Page standing back deep as this one is booted through the back of the end zone, and a touchback for Tampa. That's where the rookie Mike Glennon and the Bucs will start. Well, the 2 interceptions last week, had just 1 in the 6 games prior to that. He has been a rookie, Steve, that has avoided making the big mistake. Last week, a little bit different story.
And they really came out hot against the Carolina Panthers last week. And you talked to Greg Schiano before the game. They let the Panthers off the hook, settled for a field goal early. Glennon turned the ball over on the 4-yard line going in with a fumble. They really had a chance to get up on the Panthers early, didn't do it.
27-6 defeat. Mentioned earlier, the offense failed to score a touchdown. That pass batted down on 1st and 10. How about the starters in front of Glennon for this Tampa team that enters the day at 3-9 up front? Donald Penn, Pro Bowler last season, among the upper echelon of left tackles, certainly in the NFL. Backs and receivers, a lot of injuries to the skill positions. Bobby Rainey, just his 6th game with Tampa, debuted for this team back in early November. Released by Cleveland after week 7. 2nd and 10 from the 20. Here's Rainey, finds a gash, and Rainey's got plenty of real estate inside Buffalo territory. Can they get him? 10, one final move, and he's in. 80 yards, Rainey taking it to the house.
Well, Spiro, Greg Schiano told us they wanted to get the run game going today. What a great job by Bobby Rainey setting that up in a big hole off the left side of that line behind Jamon Meredith and Donald Penn. Super move right there at the end. It just frees the safety coming over. What a huge play to open this game for Tampa Bay.
Doug Marrone and that Buffalo sideline stunned. Point after by Ryan Lindell, a longtime Buffalo Bill, kicking against his old mates today. And what a start for Tampa. Bobby Rainey, who started the year as the 4th-string running back upon his appointment here in Tampa, bringing it 80 yards, and Tampa in front 7-0. Atlanta native Bobby Rainey, just his 6th game since joining Tampa. Released by Cleveland, as I mentioned, after week 7, longest touchdown run of his career, 4th score for him already, Steve, in just 5+ games. What a start for the Bucs in front 7-0.
Well, could not have started any better. We talked about it before. Greg Schiano wanted to get this run game going. That wasn't what he was expecting, but what a great start.
Well, the run defense for Buffalo has long been an issue for this franchise, and nothing that Buffalo fans haven't seen. Marquise Goodwin is cut down short of the 20. As we take another look at the touchdown run.
Watch right here, Spiro. Kiko Alonso is the linebacker, rookie linebacker, who's playing at a very high level, but the patience of Bobby Rainey stepping up. Look at Kiko Alonso get stuck up in here. Rainey sets him up perfectly. That opens up a lane, and Alonso cannot get there to make the tackle. Very well executed up front, but Alonso was pretty much unblocked. He got a little undisciplined. That allowed a big play to a very good running back in Bobby Rainey.
Alonso, one of the favorites for the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year. Rare mistake as E.J. Manuel's first down pass batted down, nearly picked at the line of scrimmage. Gerald McCoy got his big mitts on it. E.J. Manuel onto the field today looking for his first road win. Only his 9th career start, Steve. 3-5 so far as a starter. He's only thrown 4 picks in 250 passes.
Yeah, he's done a very good job protecting the football. In fact, one of the top in the NFL in terms of interception percentage. You got to really count on that against a good Tampa Bay defense today.
This is C.J. Spiller on 2nd and 10, going backwards. Mason Foster, the middle linebacker, getting there for Tampa. Offensive starters in front of Manuel. Eric Wood, among the league's best centers, headlining the offensive front, as Buffalo comes to town today at 4 and 8. Backs and receivers, Evan Rodriguez, a late addition to the starting lineup. Their usual starting fullback, Frank Summers, a scratch. 3rd and 10, they spot it just inside the 19. Manuel under pressure. Did he go down? They say no. Manuel's going to make something out of nothing as he crosses the 25. And there you see the athleticism of Manuel Leonard Johnson finally bringing him down. But what a play by Manuel, the escape artist.
Yeah, that knee did not go down. Super athletic play by E.J. Manuel. If he could have broken the tackle right there, that would have been a Leonard Johnson. That would have been a heck of an attempt to get that first down. He would have had it. One guy to miss. That was a great open field tackle by Johnson.
Adrian Claiborne had him in the backfield, but Manuel able to escape. They don't move the chain, so 4th and short, they will punt. Now that one nearly blocked. Penalty marker thrown. The punter is down and hurt. Brian Moorman. Marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage as Tampa signals fair catch, and now we await the penalty. And Moorman still shaken up.
Personal foul. Roughing a kicker. Receiving team number 56. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, that was Dakota Watson, and both coaches said special teams are going to be a key. This is not what Greg Schiano had in mind. Boy, that is an exposed punter right there, and Dakota Watson almost had the block, had to go for it, just missed the football somehow, and you hope Brian Moorman is okay. But a big penalty, though, against Tampa Bay.
So they will mark it out past the 40-yard line, and E.J. Manuel and the Buffalo offense back onto the field. That's the kind of mistake after a big touchdown run that can turn the tide back into Buffalo's favor. So Moorman looks like he's okay. It'll be 1st and 10.
And if you're Doug Marrone, Danny Crossman, you see the graphic there, most in the NFL on Tampa Bay, and Greg Schiano, that's got to be frustrating to him. But Danny Crossman, the special teams coach for the Buffalo Bills, has got to pay special attention now. That was Dakota Watson running free on that punt that was almost blocked right there. They've got to get that shored up.
Watson today starting at linebacker. Jonathan Casillas placed on injured reserve late this week. C.J. Spiller split out to the top of your screen. Empty backfield as Manuel works from the gun on 1st and 10. Fires out to the far sideline. That's the rookie Robert Woods out of USC. Had a big 33-yard reception late last week in Toronto. Starters defensively, Gerald McCoy having a Pro Bowl season, 6 sacks, had 5 all of last year. I mentioned Watson in, Casillas placed on IR. Secondary, one of the most improved facets of this team, the free agent signing from San Francisco, Deshaun Goldson. Has had a heck of a year for this team. 7th-year man brought in with Darrell Revis to fine-tune the back end of the defense. Fred Jackson on 2nd down, brought down by Gerald McCoy. And Steve, what a season McCoy has had for the Bucs.
Yeah, this guy is a force. He has really established himself as one of the top defensive tackles in the NFL. Only, you know, still got a lot of football ahead of him, only in his 4th year out of Oklahoma. Now you got a 3rd and 5 right now. E.J. Manuel, this is a pretty good situation. You still have the threat of the run and the pass, so Tampa Bay's got to play it honest.
Manuel on 3rd and 5. Over the middle, incomplete. Scott Chandler appeared to be the intended receiver. T.J. Graham also in the vicinity, and Buffalo will punt.
Well, one of the question marks about E.J. Manuel still is his accuracy. Overall, that's a pass that got away from him a little bit. It was good coverage on the play. It would have been a dicey chance at a completion, but his accuracy has got to improve as he develops as a quarterback.
The high point for Manuel came early in the year, week 2, that dramatic game-winning touchdown drive late to beat Cam Newton and the Panthers. But those moments have been few and far between for a Buffalo team that has just 4 wins. Eric Page signaling fair catch after the 38-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The new windows. One experience for everything in your life. And by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
Can't ask for better weather on a Sunday afternoon in Tampa. 7-0 after the 80-yard touchdown run by Bobby Rainey. Early first quarter, Spiro Ditas, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew. Week 14 of the NFL here on CBS. Tampa Bay and their offense back onto the field after that quick burst earlier by Rainey. The rookie Sky Dawson in motion. 1st and 10. Glennon's going to air it out. Down the sideline. It's incomplete. Trying to locate Vincent Jackson up the sideline. Jackson playing with that tweaked hamstring. 61 receptions, Steve, coming into the day.
Yeah, and he's bumped by Leotis McKelvin right there. Good coverage by McKelvin, but you see how big and strong Vincent Jackson is. Surprised that they're trying to stretch him up the field so early. He is a big play receiver, but as we talked about in the open, he was questionable with that hamstring strain. They must have the confidence in him to go up the field still anyway.
And talking about Leotis McKelvin, Doug Marrone told us he's playing the best that he has seen from him on film. As Rainey stumbled up in the backfield, Nigel Bradham, the outside linebacker, got to him first. Stephon Gilmore brought him down. Defensive starters, what a year it's been for Mario Williams. 12 sacks, 2 shy of his career mark of 14. Linebackers, Kiko Alonso, the rookie that missed tackle earlier, but he has had a tremendous first year, second in the league with 125 tackles. And Jairus Byrd, 3rd interception of the season last week, also a sack. Had that big one against the Jets 2 weeks ago with 2 interceptions. Greg Schiano inserts Brian Leonard at running back. This is 3rd and 10. Glennon incomplete. And so the Buffalo defense holding. Steve, it's always a jolt to give up a big play like they did to Rainey. And Alonso's such a proud kid, the first year middle linebacker. But a good response from that defense to get off the field.
Yeah, this is a good, aggressive defense. Young.
All right, folks, early in the first quarter of action, we've lost the feed there, Buffalo at Tampa. But with that in mind, we will keep you updated and, of course, get you back.
Took a bad angle and misjudged that ball. He tried to cut underneath Vincent Jackson, and Mike Glennon, knowing that he's got a tall 6'5" wide receiver, put it up there where only Vincent Jackson could make the catch.
Spiro Ditas, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew, we apologize for technical issues we've been having here in Tampa. 7-3 Bucs in front. 80-yard touchdown run on Tampa's opening possession. Was our first score. Here is what you missed.
Buffalo. 30 seconds, timeout.
Buffalo's last possession as Doug Marrone looks on. Stevie Johnson. The intended target here, Steve, as you see him with the catch and then the penalty, the unsportsmanlike hit by Dakota Watson and Scott Chandler. Big run over the middle. Manuel was sacked on the play by Levante David, and then the kick by Carpenter, 40 yards for Buffalo's first points of the afternoon. And that is where we sit at this point. 7-3 as the 4-8 Bills in sunny Florida today. You see the offensive numbers so far. The 80-yard run by Rainey. The difference was Greg Schiano, second-year, 47-year-old head coach. Mike Glennon and the Tampa offense driving here inside Buffalo territory at the 35. 1st and 10, Glennon over the middle. It's to Rainey. Taking on tacklers, lunges to the 30. Manny Lawson getting credited with the tackle, but not before Rainey with a 4-yard catch and run.
Well, Mike Glennon is a young quarterback. He missed an opportunity for a big play. Watch this right here down the middle of the field. Tyquan Underwood is uncovered down the middle of the field for a touchdown, and Mike Glennon did not see that. That's something that they're going to look at tomorrow. He's going to lose some sleep over that because you don't get a chance at shots like that very often.
Glennon, the rookie, the 3rd-round pick out of North Carolina State. Only his 10th career start today. Rainey cutting back inside the 30. Got to maybe the 37. As the clock continues to run here inside of 4 minutes left. It'll be 3rd down.
You know what that was, Spiro? It's an example. This defense that Buffalo runs is very, very sophisticated, very complex. And if they don't communicate the coverages, and the schemes to each other very well. There can be bust opportunities, and when they do make those mistakes, you've got to cash in.
This is 3rd and 4. They spot it at the 28. Rookie Scott Dawson in motion. Glennon over the middle. He has his man. It's Dawson. First down, Bucs.
Well, this is another one of those 3rd down exotic looks. There's a penalty on the play, but watch. Kiko Alonso faked like he was blitzing and then dropped back, almost got in the lane.
Holding. Offense number 70. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
That's the Pro Bowler. Donald Penn negates the first down catch.
Yep. Donald Penn off the left side.
Correction number 76.
76. Jeremy, that's a center, Jeremy Zuta.
Now, Zuta has been arguably their best offensive lineman this season, returned to center. His natural position last year had to fill in for Carl Nix at guard for the final 9 games. There's Mike Pettin, the Bills' 4th defensive coordinator in the last 5 years, bringing that exotic defense over from Rex Ryan's system at the New York Jets. 3rd and 14 after the penalty. Glennon escaping pressure. He's going to throw on the run. Towards the end zone. It's caught. Jackson, touchdown. Late penalty marker thrown as Jackson with his 2nd marvelous reception on the drive.
Pass interference. Defense number 37. Penalty decline. Result of the play. Touchdown.
38 yards, Glennon to Jackson.
Yeah, they call pass interference on Nikel Roby. Great job. We talked about the mobility factor with Mike Glennon. Not a tremendous looking athlete, but he's mobile enough to get out of there. Decides to take a shot up the field with Vincent Jackson, and Roby just lost. It's hard when a quarterback breaks the pocket for the receivers to know, or the DBs to know where those receivers are. Right there, Tampa Bay took advantage.
Oh, you think Mike Glennon's happy Jackson strapped it on today? Jackson, a late addition to the starting lineup, was a question mark with that hamstring pull. As Ryan Lindell, the longtime Buffalo Bill, boots it through. 2nd offensive touchdown for the Bucs. They had none last week in the loss in Carolina. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Holiday savings on the gifts everyone wants. And by Macy's.
Beautiful day here in Tampa. 14-3 Bucs. 80-yard touchdown run by Bobby Rainey, and Vincent Jackson with a 38-yard touchdown catch. And that's where we stand now. 1st and 10. E.J. Manuel looking right. And Steve, that's one thing about Manuel. He's a young quarterback that goes through his progressions. That time couldn't get through all of them before he's dumped down right behind the line of scrimmage. Mark Barron, the safety, got to him.
Well, they keep it fairly simple for E.J. Manuel because he has missed a lot of time during training camp and during the first part of the season due to injuries, and they don't want to overload him right now. They know he's got the ability to get through his progressions, but they keep it all pretty simple. Right there, he didn't see what he liked, and as he's done all year, he didn't force it.
2nd and 11. They fake the draw to Jackson, and then it is incomplete. In and out of the hands of Stevie Johnson, who had a long week. That's a late fumble in the game at Toronto last week against Atlanta. Thought about it. Stevie said he heard the criticism all week long. Really a wake-up call.
And also in and out of the hands of Deshaun Goldson almost there on the play, but that ball a little bit behind him. Yes, Stevie Johnson, an emotional player. You got to respect him for taking the accountability and feeling so bad about that fumble last week, but at the same time, you got to move on and get past it.
2nd overtime loss of the season for the Bills. 3rd and 11. Manuel muffed the snap for a moment. He's going down again. William Golston getting there for the Bucs. 2nd sack.
That low snap threw off E.J. Manuel's timing a little bit. He had to get up. The ball hit him about knee level. And then he's got to try and get up and find his progression, and the good pressure off the right side, the front side of E.J. Manuel did not give him a clear view of the picture, and then all of a sudden he's on the ground.
Golston enjoying Michigan State's shocker last night over Ohio State. Golston, the rookie, started slow. Inactive the first 5 games, just 1 sack in the entire month of October, but boy, is he coming on. Massive first-year player at 6'6", 280. Eric Page trying to find some open terrain over the middle of the field, across the 40 and brought down at the 45-yard line. Let's take a look at the quarterback comparison. Injured Buffalo Bill is Ron Brooks, just behind where the pileup was. Clock stopped at 1:10 to play in the first, and Buffalo down 14-3. So as the trainers look at Brooks, we'll step aside. 11-point game here on CBS. Injured Bill is Ron Brooks, the second-year safety out of LSU. You can see movement with his legs, which is a good sign, but still lying on his right side. Some concerned teammates look on. Keep your eye on Brooks, 33. Steve kind of gets the right side of his shoulder and neck caught between 2 of his teammates and goes down hard.
Yeah, he ran right into the midsection of one of his teammates there. Jerry Hughes is who it looked like, and just got himself in an awkward position. You're always concerned about anything that could possibly be related to the neck and head, so they're erring on the side of caution. And as you said, Spiro, the encouraging thing is that we did see lower body movement. But you can never be too safe and too cautious in a situation like this.
Players always talk about, you know, how difficult it is to see a player, even if it's an opposing player, go down and then have to continue on in the game. Again, the good news here is that he does have movement in all his extremities. We saw him moving his legs as they have Brooks now turned over onto his back.
Captain Fred Jackson right there. Everybody, as you said, Spiro, very concerned. It's the reality of the game. You kind of block it out of your mind as a player because you have to play fearless. But when something like this does happen, it sure is. It's a dose of reality, a wake-up call that it's a very fragile line between being okay and being hurt seriously.
Again, the injured Buffalo player is Ron Brooks. Going down in the on the punt play. As you see the concern now for both teams. The trainers telling Buffalo to kind of move back a little bit to give the trainers some more room. There's C.J. Spiller. So 14-3 Tampa in front, 1:10 to play. You see Brooks is seated up. So Steve, a very good sign. You see him moving. You always think about the player's family in a situation like this, either here in the stadium or watching at home. So great sign. Looks like Brooks is okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic to see him up on his feet.
So Brooks is going to walk off on his own power. We'll try to get an update as quickly as we can. Brooks, the former 4th-round pick, 25 years of age. And he will very slowly make his way over to the Buffalo sideline. Brooks has gotten some strong frontline reps for this Buffalo defense that has struggled the last couple of years. And now they've got to go on without him. As Mike Glennon and Tampa Bay back onto the field, it'll be 1st and 10 as they mark it outside the 45.
2 big plays for Tampa Bay, the difference right now.
3 down.
In great field position here right now for Greg Schiano and his offense.
Rainey lines up, offset eye to the left. 1st and 10. Rainey's going to throw it. And that one incomplete. Intended for the tight end, the rookie out of Rutgers, Timothy Wright. Well, this was a Tampa Bay offense that failed to score a touchdown last week. They didn't waste a lot of time today, Steve. 80-yard run by Rainey.
Rainey just started off just the second play of the game, just popped it through. A missed tackle by Kiko Alonso. And then right here, Glennon Brace contained. Not a thing of beauty. The ball's fluttering out there. But Vincent Jackson, one of the receivers that just says, hey, just put it up, give me a chance. Big play as a result.
Here's Rainey, 2nd and 10. Trying to cut it to the outside. Brought down right at the 45-yard line by Kiko Alonso, who you know is still steaming after that missed tackle on the long run by Rainey. Hasn't missed many of them. The first-year man out of Oregon, just 23 years of age. 46th overall pick, and Steve, a leading candidate for the NFL's Defensive Rookie of the Year award.
Oh, one of the most impressive rookie defensive players in the league by far. 4 interceptions this year, playing at a very high level.
Here's Glennon on 3rd and 11. That's incomplete. And Tampa Bay will punt. Doug Marrone told us yesterday he's never been around a football player who takes care of his body better than Kiko Alonso does. Says if he's not stretching, he's lifting weights. If he's not lifting weights, he's in the hot tub, he's icing down. He just gets it as a first-year player, and this young man is going to have a long and fruitful career in the NFL.
And that is very unique, because the mentality a lot of times with these young players is to come in and think you're invincible. But for a young guy to understand that preservation is so important even at the early ages.
Another punt here for Buffalo. Leotis McKelvin signaling fair catch. Right around the 20. Oh, the playoff race is heating up. Download NFL Mobile to get live video access to exclusive premium content on your smartphone. Call ** NFL and download, or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more. Message and data rates may apply. We have been told that it is a neck injury for Ron Brooks. His return is questionable, but that is wonderful news after what appeared to be a very scary situation. Brooks lying motionless on the field for a couple of seconds. Well, can E.J. Manuel and this Buffalo offense get in gear? Put up 31 points last week in that overtime loss. They're down 14-3. Manuel escaped the sack early on. This time he's going to run. Stevie said one of the lessons he's learned is learning when not to take a hit.
Yeah, he took the shot early in the season that knocked him out of the lineup for about 3 or 4 weeks at the right knee. Very similar play to that right there, just trying to get a few more yards up the sideline, but right there smartly getting out of bounds.
2 long touchdowns for the Bucs, and that is where we sit. End of one, 14-3 on CBS. Oh, good to see Ron Brooks up and walking around. It is a neck injury. Was down on the field, if you've just joined us, for a couple of moments just a short time ago. It is a neck, and they say his return is questionable at this point. E.J. Manuel onto the field as we start the second quarter. 14-3 Tampa. Spiro Dinas, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew with you. Manuel from the gun. Over the middle, finds Johnson across the 35, close to the 40. As those two hook up for a pickup of 11, Steve, and a Buffalo first down.
Well, one of the things that's been causing problems for Buffalo offensively, they've given up 3 sacks already. This is a Tampa Bay defense that ranks 28th in the league with sacks coming into the game, and if they're getting that kind of pressure on E.J. Manuel, that's got to be a concern for Doug Marrone.
1st and 10. Here's C.J. Spiller back in his home state. Trying to cut back across the middle, across the 40, a pickup of 7. Tackle made by the rookie defensive end out of Michigan State, William Golston.
C.J. Spiller last week, 15 carries, 149 yards in their tough loss to Atlanta. Well, when he gets in the open field, it's fun to watch this guy just turn on the jets.
You saw the yards per rush, obviously skewed by the 80-yard run by Rainey. That one batted up in the air and intercepted. Levante David, the do-everything second-year linebacker, doing it for Tampa as Manuel throws only his 5th interception, 22 yards on the return.
It looked to me like Stevie Johnson was not ready for this pass as quickly as it got on him. Look right there, the ball, well, he was ready for it. He's got to make that catch. That's on Stevie Johnson. A little bit high by E.J. Manuel, but Stevie Johnson good enough to make that play. Levante David, an interception for the 3rd consecutive week. It just seems like this guy is always around the football right there. A great example of being opportunistic and then taking it down the sideline.
David with his 4th interception of the season, 5th leading tackler in the NFL, only his second season, the former second-round pick out of Nebraska. So Mike Glennon, the rookie, back onto the field. Glennon, 3-6 as a starter. Goes play action on 1st and 10. He's going to air it out. Down the middle, batted and incomplete. Right on the fingertips of Tyquan Underwood, and that should have been 6.
I love the mentality. Love the mentality by Mike Sullivan, the offensive coordinator. But that ball got right through the hands of the defensive player right there, and Tyquan Underwood could have caught that ball, hit him right in the shoulder. Looks like he might have. And Glennon right there has Kyle Williams kind of roll up on his legs. That's kind of a scary thing if you're a quarterback, a big 300-plus pounder rolling up on your knee. Fortunate nothing bad happened for Glennon.
It was Aaron Williams on the coverage. Excellent recovery late to bother Underwood just enough. First, with the 2nd and 10, here's Rainey across the 25 penalty marker, throwing from the far sideline. Bill Vinovich, our referee.
Shift. Offense. 2 men moving at the same time. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
So the penalty declined by the Buffalo defense, and that will set up a 3rd and long coming up.
As a former quarterback, you love coming out after a turnover when you're in that part of the field, you know, that 30 to 40-yard line. Offensive coaches call that area the shot area, where you just want to take a chance after you get the ball back on a big play, try and hit him with a quick touchdown. Didn't work out for him, and now looking at 3rd and long.
3rd and 9. They mark it inside the 35. Glennon has time. Intercepted. And guess who? It's Jairus Byrd again. 4th pick. He's still going. Forced out of bounds, and he is mobbed on his sideline. 20 yards on the return by Byrd. The safety stud doing it again for Buffalo. Timeout.
Back in Tampa, you see Jairus Byrd circled right there. He knows Vincent Jackson is Mike Glennon's go-to guy, and right there you can see Jairus Byrd is not concerned about anything except stepping in front of Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson looked like he was trying to pull that play outside. Mike Glennon not on the same page, but he should not have been throwing that ball there anyway.
Only the 6th interception thrown on the season by the rookie Glennon as Spiller bounces to the outside. The Lake Butler, Florida native, northern part of the state. 14-yard run up the sideline. There's Glennon.
And that's an example there, Spiro, though, of a young quarterback making his mind up early. He wanted to go to Vincent Jackson.
Offense number 88. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
That's Marquise Goodwin on the hole. Boy, that negates a good play by C.J. Spiller. We'll take a quick look at it. And if you're Doug Marrone, that's very frustrating. You see right there, there's Goodwin. You can read it, and he's definitely impeding the progress of Jonathan Banks to get to that football. But Mike Glennon cannot try and force that football to his receiver. He's got to read coverage for Tampa Bay.
1st down pass play, Manuel over the middle. What a year it's been for Jairus Byrd. You know, Steve held out in training camp, wanted that lucrative long-term extension. Never got it. And, more interceptions among safeties in the NFL for Byrd since 2009 than any other safety in the league. So 2nd and 6 after that last pass play. They'll mark it here at the 43 of Buffalo. Fred Jackson lines up in the backfield. Manuel from the gun, and that's intercepted. Jonathan Banks. One rookie picking off another, and Tampa gets it back. Then suddenly it's a turnover fest here in Tampa. Banks, the 43rd overall pick, getting it back for the Bucs. Picture perfect weather. 14-3 Tampa in front as we play early stages, second quarter. Mike Leonard back onto the field, 1st and 10, short field to work with. This is Bobby Rainey. Already has had a big day, cutting to the outside. Excellent second effort. Steve, we've had 3 interceptions thrown in the last 7 plays.
Yeah, watch Jonathan Banks right there. He runs with T.J. Graham up the field. He's playing man coverage underneath, and he's in perfect position right here at the top. You got E.J. Manuel. He's got to go through his progression. I don't mind him sticking with that a little bit, but you had C.J. Spiller right here underneath. You also had another receiver on the sideline. If he could have gotten through his progression, gotten to his second or third guy, it would have been a positive play, but you can't try and jam it in there against the wrong look.
2nd and 7, little slight fake. And that one off the hands of Eric Lord, the fullback, the 4th-year Stanford product. And Glennon, Steve, just threw it a little bit behind him.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Mike Glennon's accuracy for the most part this year. No reason for that throw to be behind Eric Lord right there. He's wide open in the flat for a good pickup of at least 6 or 7 yards on the outside. He's got to make that throw.
Glennon, 3rd quarterback taken in the draft behind, of course, Manuel and Geno Smith. Last week coming back down to earth after that incredible month of November in which he was selected as the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Month. Here he is from the gun, 3rd and 7. It's caught, but going nowhere is the rookie Sky Dawson, a Texas native out of TCU. Tackle made by Roby, who was beaten on the Vincent Jackson touchdown earlier.
Look at all these guys at the line of scrimmage. They're trying to give the offensive line for Tampa Bay as confusing a look as possible. You saw Jarris Byrd coming free off the edge, and that forced Mike Glennon to take a pass that he probably didn't want to take that early, and Tampa Bay Buffalo comes up and makes the tackle short of the first down. Very good defensive scheme right there by defensive coordinator Mike Pettin.
Here's Ryan Lindell. Long run with the Bills between 03 and 2012. Cut by Doug Marrone back in camp. This one is on line and good. 53-yard kick by Lindell. That's got to feel good for the former Bill as the Bucs build on their lead. Lindell, the 2nd most accurate kicker in Buffalo history, hitting over 83% of his kicks and putting one in from 53 yards. Oh, this week, don't miss the show that's in a league by itself with guys who take on all 32 teams and each other every week. James Brown, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth with the artistry of NFL films and the chemistry of the guys inside the NFL. It's the show the pros watch, Wednesday at 9, only on Showtime. We're at Raymond James Stadium, sunny Tampa, Florida. Week 14 of the NFL, early 2nd quarter. And that has been a familiar look from Bills fans. This is a franchise that trying to come out of the dark ages. Steve, they have not had a winning record since 2004, 4-8, still not mathematically eliminated from postseason contention, but the only real shot they have is to win out and then get a lot of help. And right now down 17-3 as we take a look at the first half comparison between the 2 rookie quarterbacks.
Well, not too impressive either way. You know, the interceptions, looking at E.J. Manuel, Mike Glennon. E.J. 4 interceptions coming into this game on the season. Mike Glennon 5, and they've both made some rookie decisions, and they've paid the price today. Then these are 2 teams, by the way, that lead the NFL in interceptions. Tampa Bay #1 coming in, Buffalo #2. So if you make a mistake, they will make you pay.
Here's Manuel on 1st and 10. That pass batted down. Manuel entering this game today had thrown only 4 picks, Steve, and 249 passes. He's thrown 2 of them in his last 4.
Yeah, and he's just not looking 100% certain with his reads right now. That's uncharacteristic of what he's shown this year. He's been patient, if anything, erring on the side of caution. Right there, just a good play by Golston. You know, one of the things that these defensive linemen are being taught nowadays, if you can't get to the quarterback, get in his vision.
Here's C.J. Spiller on 2nd and 10. going to fight just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Steve, you mentioned the time that Manuel missed. It's tough to play quarterback as a first-year player to begin with in this league, but missed time in August, had to have his left knee scoped. Then, of course, went down again middle of the season, missed 4 weeks after what looked to be, at the time, a season-ending knee injury. Very difficult to try to learn and develop.
And Doug Marrone talked about that yesterday. You know, he missed time in training camp as well with the injury to his other knee. So he needs the reps, he needs the time. All things considered, he's playing very, very well for a young quarterback, though, this year.
What does Manuel do here? 3rd and 11. Never saw Revis coming. As Buffalo going backwards. 4th sack for Tampa.
Well, Bill Sheridan, the defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay, doing a great job. You're going to see off the edge, Darrelle Revis coming in free right there late. E.J. Manuel does not have the awareness. He's got to know when he's picked up and when he's not. His protection's right there. When you see someone come off the edge outside, you got to know you don't have that man blocked and you got to get rid of the football.
1st sack as a Buck for Revis. Brian Mormon. It's a punt from just outside his own end zone. And Eric Page signaling fair catch at the 46. So Ron Brooks, who had to leave the game earlier, back in. Great sign for Buffalo, but the Bills down 17-3. Revis bringing the heat for the Bucs. Well, Darrelle Revis, the decorated defensive player, 7 years in the league. One thing he hasn't done a lot of is get to the quarterback. That's just the 2nd career sack. And Steve, they have both come against the Buffalo Bills.
That's amazing. I would have thought he had several more sacks in his career than just one other prior to today.
So Glennon back onto the field. Here's Rainey trying to cut back just past the original line of scrimmage. Let's go back into our archives. Darrelle Revis, former AFC Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time All-Pro. It was the only other sack. A lot of experience, obviously, against this Buffalo team. And here he was a moment ago. And Steve, what does that do for a defense when a rookie quarterback looks as confused as Manuel did there? This is 2nd and 9. Rainey's going to get to the 50. You have to think that that defense now is going to pin their ears back and keep coming.
And it's going to go both ways today with these young quarterbacks. If they show that they are not ready to handle these different kind of looks, these different kind of pressures, that pours fuel on the fire for a defensive coordinator and a defense in general. They see
7-2 reported eligible.
They see a young quarterback not aware of pressure coming off the edge. E.J. Manuel better be ready to see that the rest of the day.
At 4 down.
Gabe Karimi, you heard, announced as an eligible receiver on the play as they will put Glennon in the shotgun on 3rd and 6. Here's Glennon. The throw is deflected out of bounds, so 4th down and 6. Mario Williams getting those big mitts on it. Williams having a fine season, Pro Bowl type year for this Buffalo defense behind Mike Pettin. Last year's frustration of the injuries, that wrist, Steve, that he had to have surgery on during the bye week behind him. First overall pick, of course, back in 2006. And today going against another NC State player, Mike Glennon. He talked about the connection, had a chance to meet the young rookie when he was still a quarterback back with the Wolfpack. He said he's always admired him from afar. He's got a good arm, but he said he can't run very well. As that play is fumbled right at the 20. Leotis McKelvin muffed it. No signal yet. Bucs say they have it. And it is Tampa football.
That's Leotis McKelvin right there, and we talked about that Tampa Bay has the advantage going in this game on special teams. Leotis McKelvin, one of the very best punt returners in football. He's got to be more dependable than that. You cannot give a team like Tampa Bay the opportunity to get the ball at the 21-yard line. Schiano very excited about that. Nobody feels worse than Leotis McKelvin.
It was Deshaun Goldson, the free agent signing from San Francisco, who returned to the lineup last week after that one-game suspension on the recovery. So 1st and 10. I told you earlier, Marrone was effusive in his praise this week about Leotis McKelvin, the cornerback. And as Steve pointed out, he's had some big moments as a return man for Buffalo, but now he's put this defense up against it here. Short field, and Buffalo down 17-3.
Yeah, not what Doug Marrone had in mind. 3 first-half turnovers, down 17-3. Giving Mike Glennon and Tampa Bay a short field. That is not where you want to be.
Inside in, right in motion. Glennon's going to throw, 2nd and 9, and that's picked. It's the 4th combined interception, and that time the second-year man, Stephon Gilmore, stabbing it out of the air.
Well, that's Stephon Gilmore's first interception of the year. He's one of the young cornerbacks I really love to watch play. Great play at a big time today for Buffalo.
(17-3) our score. It is a turnover fest all of a sudden here in Tampa. 7 minutes even left to play before halftime. Spiro Dita, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew from Raymond James Stadium. Suddenly these rookie quarterbacks having all kinds of issues. You saw the numbers on your picture there. 1st and 10, some movement pre-snap as markers fly all over the place. Again, our referee today is Bill Vinovich. Buffalo says this is against the defense.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 97. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's the rookie out of Illinois, Akeem Spence. Last week went toe-to-toe with probably the best center in the NFL in Carolina's Jonathan Khalil. But a mistake here as they will mark it at the 8.
Spiro, this is a situation where Buffalo many times this year has taken a shot up the field trying to get out of the hole. E.J. Manuel has made some plays. He gets one-on-one coverage on the outside.
1st and 5 after the penalty as Spiller is buried in the backfield. Mason Foster, the 30-year middle linebacker and former 3rd-round pick out of Washington, on the tackle.
This is just good defense. They're playing 2 deep, which is a desirable run look for an offense anytime on 1st down. And right there, the front 7 for Tampa Bay standing up and rising to the challenge, making a good play.
Foster's been a big play guy defensively for Tampa this season. 2 interception returns for touchdowns. And look at Buffalo's rushing output. 4th entering the day. It's been a different story so far in this first half. Catch made by Stevie Johnson. Big play, 7 yards and a Buffalo first down. It has been a disappointing season to say the least. The guy, Steve, with 1,000 yards each of the last 3 years coming in. Obviously, rookie quarterback, you expected his production to slip a little bit, and then the fumble late last week.
Yeah, big fumble last week, and in general, you're right, a disappointing season for Stevie Johnson. He set the bar pretty high the last several years with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They had a great relationship, a great chemistry, and still right now trying to get used to E.J. Manuel as his quarterback.
1st and 10. Play action from Manuel, is going to throw it. Under pressure, and did he get it off in time? Gerald McCoy getting there for Tampa. No marker on the field, and an excellent recovery by Manuel.
The question I have is whether he was out of the tackle box, and it definitely was.
No intentional grounding. As the quarterback was out of the pocket, and the ball got beyond the line of scrimmage. Take it down.
Exactly. The ball was snapped on the left hash where it's being placed right now. He threw that ball on the right hash. He threw it away. Once you break the tackle box, you're considered out of the pocket. You can throw it away as long as you're throwing it close to, toward the line of scrimmage. So you see right there, he's definitely outside of the tackle box. He throws it away toward the line of scrimmage. No penalty.
Excellent play, but boy, it was close. Fred Jackson tripped up. As Jackson unable to get to the 20, pick up a 4 yards on the play. And Fred Jackson, Steve, who we had a chance to sit down and talk with yesterday, missed the last 6 games last year with the leg injury. Says his #1 goal this year was to stay healthy. And he told his wife this week, I want to play another 5-6 years.
And with the combination of he and C.J. Spiller, that allows for extending the career. Fred Jackson is fine with that. He's got a defined role on this team. He wants to be a big part of them moving toward the future and becoming a productive playoff team.
Buccaneers coming on 3rd and 6. Manuel incomplete. Unable to get it to T.J. Graham over the middle of the field. Graham, the second-year man, 18 receptions entering the day. As Levante David in on the play defensively.
Well,
as Buffalo now, Steve, 0 for 6 on 3rd down.
You called the pressure coming again, Spiro. It's going to be a theme. If you don't hurt a defense early, when they come and try and pressure, if you don't make a few plays, they're going to keep it coming if you show you can't handle it.
Brian Moorman on the punt, longtime punter, 12 years in the league, had a very good day last week in the loss against Atlanta. Some very tough kicks from inside his own territory, and today no different as he gets this one inside the Tampa 45-yard line. And that's where Mike Glennon and company will take over. Thursday on CBS, Academy Award winner Robin Williams and Sarah Michelle Gellar star in a new episode of The Crazy Ones. Thursday, 9/8 Central, only CBS. Brian Moorman took a shot earlier. And he's been banged around today pretty good. And that was Jerry Hughes backing into him.
I don't know if he was backing into him or skating into him, but Dakota Watson drove him straight back into him.
Those punters know how to embellish contact, don't they? Glennon airs it out, 1st and 10. And Gilmore was right there. Sky Dawson, the rookie, the intended receiver. A lot of rookies, first-year players, Steve, in this Tampa Bay wide receiving corps.
Well, again, I really like Stephon Gilmore. First-round draft choice last year out of South Carolina. He is a tough guy to get over the top of. I like the aggressive attitude of Mike Glennon, but you may want to try and take a shot at somebody else up the field. Gilmore does not give up a lot of big plays.
Not a lot of yards, certainly in the second quarter here. After an excellent defensive play by Gilmore, who missed the first 5 games of the season after surgery on his left wrist. 2nd and 10. This is Brian Leonard, the 7th-year man out of Rutgers. Oh, we started the telecast talking about how good, for the most part, these 2 rookie quarterbacks have looked. But, Steve, they have made some alarming mistakes.
Yeah,
today.
that was the last interception when Tampa Bay had the ball. Mike Glenn, I don't mind him taking a shot with Vincent Jackson on the outside against Stephon Gilmore. But if you're going to do it, down in the red zone especially, put it up high or over the top. Let your 6'5" receiver go up and make a play. If you try to throw that back shoulder against a good aggressive corner, that's a tough throw.
Again, movement before the snap on what would have been a 3rd and 5. I told you earlier, Tampa Bay, the most penalized team in the NFL.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 55. 5-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
So that one against the defense.
That's Jerry Hughes. Again, the culprit right there. Doug Marrone's got to be very frustrated.
7-2 is reported as eligible.
So Tampa Bay bringing in Gabe Karimi, an extra offensive lineman. Now we see one of the big men coming off the field as well. That might have been Karimi again coming off the field.
So the drive continues for Tampa. It'll be 1st and 10 after the penalty inside Buffalo territory now. Bill Vinovich says, hold on a second. Clock stopped at 3:46 to play here before halftime. Well, these are 2 franchises probably looking on the outside once the postseason starts. We know Tampa Bay already eliminated. Doug Marrone's Bills are still mathematically alive at 4-8, but likely to see their postseason drought, Steve, reach a 14th year. Yeah, that would be the longest active streak in the NFL.
Exactly right. And Well documented, Doug Marrone, the frustration and the anxiety that losing causes him, and this game cannot be going anywhere near how he had it planned coming in.
There's Marrone, as emotional a coach as we have in the NFL, and he readily admits it. We had a chance to sit and talk with him yesterday, a Bronx guy, born and bred in New York, of course, the 4-year run at Syracuse, and now asking Vinovich and the officials for an explanation, Steve, on that last call.
Yeah, and coming off that tough loss last week to Atlanta, you know, he was really concerned not only with his own handling of that disappointment, but with his team's handling of that disappointment.
Yeah, Marrone has devised a pamphlet over the years, and it's titled How to Deal with Disappointment.
We're ready to go.
And this has been a team that has had to endure some just heartbreaking losses this year.
And he went through, he almost gave us a psychology lesson yesterday in that meeting. He pulled it right out and slapped it on the table and said, we've been talking a lot about this week. It's been a challenging year, but I expect my team to get through it and move on. We all have to.
Yeah, it's almost like he came up with that pamphlet for himself as much as his players. 1st and 10. Leonard again, second first down and more, deep inside Buffalo territory. 12-yard run, and they will mark it inside the 36.
Well, Brian Leonard, no carries last week. Right here shows that he can move the rock as well. Nice little juke there, gets up the field. Good positive run for another first down, Tampa Bay.
Leonard coming into the NFL as a second-round pick of St. Louis in 2007, reunited here with his college coach at Rutgers, Greg Schiano. A couple of years with Cincinnati between 09 and last year. Little trickery here. We knew some of these plays would come in gadget plays, but the end around not fooling the Buffalo defense. Kyle Williams able to bring down Eric Page, a loss of 4.
Well, when we talked to Mario Williams yesterday, we got the distinct impression they were expecting a plethora of trick plays, whether it be on special teams or offensively, the gadget type of plays. Right there, nobody fooled. And who's right in the middle of it? Mario Williams right there with contain, forcing the ball carrier back up inside, and a loss of 5 yards.
There's Mario Williams. What a defensive front this is for Buffalo. Defense that has underachieved at times despite some of these fabulous players that they have. As Williams able to make the tackle, the 2-time Pro Bowler. 2nd and 14 dropped. Tyquan Underwood had the drop earlier on the Aaron Williams defensive recovery play that could have been a touchdown, and this time, Steve, you're a pro, you got to make this catch.
You're right, and this was a good reaction by Mike Glennon, showing he was ready for the blitz. The exotic look that Buffalo gave. Kyle Williams was coming around free, unblocked, but Mike Glennon knew exactly where his hot receiver was. Tyquan Underwood's got to make that catch.
Not a perfect throw by Glennon, a little low, but certainly right on the fingertips.
He's got to make that catch. Another one. You see all the different things, the movement that Buffalo does up front on defense. It's hard to identify for offensive linemen.
Mike Pettin again as they come with the blitz. Glennon hit as he released. No penalty marker thrown, and now there is one thrown back at the 50. It was Jairus Byrd who came on the pressure.
Roughing the passer. Low hit on the quarterback. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
And with that, we reach the 2-minute warning. A backbreaker for the Buffalo defense. 17-3, all Tampa here at Raymond James Stadium. So Jairus Byrd on the penalty. Steve, why the flag?
Well, you know what? I don't agree with the penalty, but it's the right call. Look at Jairus Byrd, unimpeded to the quarterback, and then launches himself at the lower body.
Wow.
The quarterback's a different animal. The quarterback is protected differently than anybody else on the field. You can't go to his head, and if you're unimpeded and launch yourself at the lower body, they're going to throw that flag. If you get tripped or blocked into it, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's awfully tough for the Buffalo defense. Looked like they were off the field as Brian Leonard just past the original line of scrimmage for a minimal game. Coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. Join JB, Dan Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower in New York. They'll have all the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Spiro, I agree with you 100%. I hate seeing that flag thrown because Buffalo had the perfect defense called, executed perfectly. A great play by Jairus Byrd, but by the rules, that's going to be a flag nowadays.
Boy, things have changed, haven't they?
Sure have, believe me.
2nd and 10. Clock continues to run. We come up on a minute to play. Suddenly Leonard, the workhorse, as they give Bobby Rainey a blow. This is a Buffalo or a Tampa offense that has had to endure the injuries to a lot of skill position players. Doug Martin, who of course starred last year, as their starting running back going down. They had to place him on injured reserve in late October with a shoulder injury. Of course, Mike Williams, who Steve mentioned, one of their top wide receivers, lost as well late October. The 3-game winning streak after starting the season 0-8. Things were so miserable around here. With the sudden emergence of Mike Glennon, and suddenly a little glimmer of hope. Here's Glennon on shotgun, 3rd and 6. Over the middle, he has his man, Timothy Wright, the rookie tight end. And speaking of the injuries, Tom Crabtree, of course, lost earlier. And Greg Schiano saying this week,
charge timeout.
as they call it timeout, Steve Schiano said, thank goodness for Timothy Wright.
Well, and Schiano almost ran into the end zone calling that timeout, but right there, Timothy Wright.
Game clock to 37 seconds.
Stepping up for sure. You know, I circled Vincent Jackson against Stephon Gilmore. I thought they might try a jump ball against bump coverage, but Mike Glennon did a good job right before the snap. Stephon Gilmore bailed out of there, and Mike Glennon knew exactly where his next best receiver was against man coverage. Good throw and catch.
You see the timeout situation. Having a good old time here in Tampa. 37 seconds remaining. 2 timeouts left for the Bucs. Haven't had a lot to cheer about here this year. A 3-9 campaign. As Tampa Bay missed the postseason again, 4th time in 5 years. 1st and goal. Little shuffle pass to Rainey. The 80-yard touchdown run on their first drive of the day, if you've just joined us. Tackle made by the rookie, Kiko Alonso.
And that Tampa Bay was trying to exploit the rookie middle linebacker right there, trying to play on his inexperience, but a very, very good play by Kiko Alonso.
This will be their 4th losing season in the last 5 years. Bucs haven't made the playoffs since 07. Our aerial coverage of today's game being brought to you by MetLife. High above Raymond James Stadium on a picture-perfect Sunday afternoon here in Florida.
A little too hot, if you ask me. Heck,
listen, if you live in New York, this is perfect.
It's 80. What is it, 83 today?
So you're a California guy. You're spoiled.
You're right. You're right.
20 seconds to play. Tampa Bay down to their last timeout. This will be 2nd and goal. 10th play of the drive for the Bucs. The rookie Underwood in motion, bottom of your picture. Running on 2nd and goal, throws end zone, touchdown, Timothy Wright. And Tampa Bay extends its lead, 23-3.
The red zone is a tight end's playground. Timothy Wright, Mike Glennon knew exactly where he was going to be, knew it was the right coverage. They did a good job of picking up the pressure from Buffalo. Kiko Alonso was coming clean on Mike Glennon, but he had just enough time to get rid of that football. That's a big touchdown right before the half and a backbreaker for Buffalo.
Right, another Rutgers kid on this Greg Schiano coach team, 23-3. The Tampa Bay offense that is down 3 tight ends. We mentioned the injury to Tom Crabtree. And Wright with his 3rd touchdown reception of the season.
Well, you got to credit Mike Sullivan. Right here is Timothy Wright. It was a perfect call for the perfect time. One-on-one coverage against the safety. You see Kiko Alonso in the middle coming free on Mike Glennon right there, but one-on-one, Timothy Wright does a great job beating Aaron Williams, the safety. That was the right play at the right time and very well executed by Tampa Bay.
So Mike Glennon, after a couple of bad interceptions earlier, rights the offense. As you see where Tampa is. The last 2 games had their lowest scoring outputs of the season. Last week scoring just 6 points.
Yeah, the 30th ranked offense in the NFL as far as scoring is concerned coming in today, but Buffalo has given them too many opportunities. You know, Mike Glennon's thrown 2 interceptions and they're still trailing. Buffalo's still trailing 24-3. That means the Buffalo offense has not done their job. They're giving the short field to Tampa Bay too much. Mistakes, penalties. and turnovers have killed Buffalo today.
Michael Conan on the punt, or the kick rather, excuse me, from his own 35-yard line. And Marquise Goodwin among the deep men will take it on a bounce inside the 10. Goodwin has all that speed today, playing with a tweaked hamstring he sustained in practice this week. And he will slowly make his way to the sideline. Got a sports fan on your gift list? Avoid the crowds and get free shipping when you shop this weekend at CBSSports.com. Take advantage of the special offer right now at CBSSports.com/holiday.
Spear, I would expect to see E.J. Manuel backed up here just to take a knee. And Doug Marrone and his Buffalo Bills squad can go inside at halftime and lick their wounds.
That's exactly what they're going to do. A Buffalo Bills team that showed up today here in sunny Florida, 4-8. Hoping to respond after that disheartening loss in overtime last weekend in Toronto. But Mike Glennon, despite the interceptions, up 24-3 at halftime. We'll be back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
No matter the cost, we're singing. Whoa, oh, whoa,
Well, it wasn't the prettiest of halves for the Tampa Bay Bucs, but it certainly is pretty on the scoreboard. 24-3 our halftime score, and it was Bobby Rainey bringing down the house in the early moments. Football like you've never heard it, presented by Sonos. Hi, everyone. Welcome into our CBS broadcast booth. Spiro Adidas alongside Steve Berline. 24-3 your score at halftime. Steve, you don't often turn it over twice and have a 21-point lead at the break. What did you see in that first half?
Well, there's a lot of factors in this ball game. It has not been a thing of beauty either way, but I think when you look at the turnovers, pretty much about even. Field position has been a huge key. Tampa Bay has gotten the short field, and they've cashed in a few times. Buffalo, only 70 total yards of offense, 0 for 6 on third down. They have to keep the ball offensively, keep their defense off the field, and prevent the short field for Tampa Bay. That's the only way Tampa Bay is making positive plays. They get the short field. They had the big long run from Bobby Rainey early on, the second play of the game. But other than that, it's just opportunities that Buffalo is giving this Tampa Bay team.
5 combined turnovers, 3 by Buffalo, 2 picks by Manuel, the Leotis McKelvin muff punt, and a couple of Mike Glennon interceptions on the other side of the field. 24-3 your score as we are just about ready for the second half.
You know, the other issue too, Spiro, is bad timing by Buffalo as far as several penalties. The one that jumps out is the roughing the passer called on Jarvis Bird late in the first half.
Now, that was a very, very difficult call for Buffalo to absorb at that point. It appeared to be a very good play by Bird, putting pressure on Glennon. But that kept the Buccaneers offense on the field, and they capitalized and lead this game 24-3.
And look at
here's our quarterback comparison, Steve.
Yeah, it's very similar. You know, not too impressive, but you know, Glennon has the 2 touchdowns, which are significant. He's made a couple of nice throws. The one he put up for grabs to Vincent Jackson was the right play at the right time. And then the second touchdown, Timothy Wright.
There's C.J. Spiller, Florida native, out of Lake Butler, Florida, northern part of the state. Playing in front of family and friends. There is Mike Glennon. Only his 10th career start for the 3rd-round pick. And again, the plan all along for the Bucs, Steve, was to have him kind of hold the clipboard, play behind Josh Freeman. And, of course, things blew up early. They make the change after week 4. Not a marvelous run. Obviously took a while to start winning games, but statistically Glennon was a revelation early as Manuel's pass is the time intended for the rookie Woods. And a penalty marker on the field.
Pass interference. Defense number 29. spot foul, automatic first down.
That's Leonard Johnson they got for pass interference right in the middle of your screen right there, guarding Stevie Johnson one-on-one. Just kind of wrapped up on him, prevented him from coming across the field. The throw, I believe, was to Robert Woods on the outside, but can't hang on like that.
So 1st and 10 after the penalty. Spiller, quiet first half, just 14 yards on the ground for Spiller. And it's been a disappointment, Steve. This was supposed to be the year he kind of took that next step in becoming a dominant part of this Buffalo offense, but Fred Jackson's still there. In this day and age in the NFL, you really need 2 frontline running backs.
And I think with the strengths of both of these guys, their physical abilities, I think it's a blessing for both of them to have the other.
2nd and 9. Manuel's going to tuck it away, lunges forward. Brought down at about the 35-yard line. Buccaneers didn't touch him initially. And then finally, Levante David and Akeem Spencer got there. Now late markers come flying in. Buffalo obviously frustrated with how this day has gone so far. Temper's starting to flare.
Well, E.J. Manuel told us going yesterday when we met with him, and by the way, a very impressive young man, but he told us that he was going to try and slide more often. I think maybe the confusion is that, was he truly giving himself up with a feet-first slide there? It was kind of an awkward slide, and he got up, the whistle hadn't blown, and then people didn't know what to do.
Oh, the former Florida State Seminole. Back in the state of Florida, where it all started for him in Tallahassee. Here is Bill Vinovich.
Okay, the quarterback gave himself up. Therefore, he's down by contact. There's no foul in the play. As both players were involved in the activity.
Well, even the officials are getting a little hot.
Yeah, they're getting a little hot. He didn't like what Schiano was saying to him, but I think this is the right call. You see A.J. Manuel, he kind of dives forward and gets up, no whistle.
Just a strange play.
And as a result, yeah, a lot of confusion. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as defenders do, they go for the football right away, and tempers flare, including head coaches. And I think it's right not to call a penalty right there in that particular situation.
This has been a very choppy game. All the stoppages. You see him holding the challenge flag.
But if the referee says the player gave himself up, they should blow the whistle. One of the referees should have blown the whistle. That's, I think, an officiating mistake as well.
Well, Greg Schiano trying to get an explanation as he goes against Doug Marrone, the Buffalo head coach. I met 3 times in the college ranks in the Big East Conference, of course. Marrone leading Syracuse, Schiano at the helm of Rutgers. Such a mutual respect between these two men. I had a chance to visit with both of them the last couple of days. Schiano, of course, weathering the storm here after all the issues with Josh Freeman early in the year. 8 straight losses to start the season, had that 3-game winning streak. And now just trying to play out the string and develop some of these young players. That's Fred Jackson. Tackle made by Gerald McCoy. There's Schiano on the sideline, 47-year-old head coach. Wyckoff, New Jersey native. So 2nd and 7 here. They spot it inside the 40. They're going to work Manuel from the gun.
This is a chess game going on right here.
Over the middle. Johnson has the catch. Still going. And he was crunched in midair and maintained his feet. 33 yards. Incredible play by Johnson.
A very good throw into coverage, though. Lucky to get away with it by E.J. Manuel. But what happened, E.J. Manuel knew that Tampa Bay was going to come with the blitz all out. He checked to the play that they ran, but then Tampa Bay checked out of the blitz and played coverage. E.J. Manuel fortunately got out of it with a big play.
That sets up a 1st and 10 inside Tampa territory, and now Manuel suddenly with some momentum. T.J. Graham, marker throwing behind the line of scrimmage.
Offense number 60. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Steve, that's a sign of a bad team, a 4-8 team. You make a positive play and you come up with just an inopportune penalty.
And it's the kind of play that really stresses out a head coach. Craig Urbick, 5-year guy out of Wisconsin. Bad timing on that play. It was a good, quick throw and decision by E.J. Manuel. I don't know what provoked Urbic to make the hold on that play, but terrible timing. There never is a good time, but on a positive drive, can't have it.
Ronnie Wingo lines up for the first time today. Wingo now their third string running back. Buffalo this week releasing Tashard Choice, who had been their #3 running back the last couple of years. And in a show of solidarity for the outgoing Choice, who was such a beloved part of the locker room, Steve, C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson both wore his practice jersey this week on the practice field.
That's one of the most difficult parts of playing in this level is you had to say goodbye to a lot of very good friends, very good players.
2nd and 18. Manuel slings it out again. It's Chris Hogan, the first-year player out of Monmouth University in New Jersey. 12 yards, and now Manuel, Steve, starting to show some signs.
Yeah, Manuel looking more decisive, more accurate this half right here. A nice catch by Chris Hogan, but almost decapitated by Mason Foster there as he came across the middle. Good positive play, though. They're now in a 3rd and 6 manageable conversion situation.
We'll see what they've done today or haven't done. 0 and 6 on 3rd down. Manuel 3 for 3 on the drive, 47 yards. What can he do here to try to move the chains? Manuel under pressure, sacked again. It's William Golston who's had himself a day for the Bucs. 5th sack of Manuel.
Well, this one right here I put on E.J. Manuel. Look at right here. He's got a pretty good pocket right there. He could step up and try and deliver the ball, although Gerald McCoy was coming. The question was whether he had a quick receiver available. I think he flushed a little bit earlier than he needed to, right into Golston's arms. An easy sack for William Golston.
Well, Greg Schiano admittedly taken aback by all the missed tackles last week. A spotty performance by this Buccaneers defense today. Different stories. Marcus whistled the play dead. There's Adrian Claiborne in that special teams unit for the Bucs. Multiple flags thrown. One right at the line of scrimmage, one from the far side.
Defense number 94. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That's Claiborne whistled for Tampa. So they will mark it now, Steve, inside the 30.
Yeah, Dan Carpenter, the beneficiary there. It goes from being a 51-yarder to a 46-yarder. Much more manageable.
So this will be a 46-yard attempt by Dan Carpenter. Carpenter booted one in earlier. And this one has the distance, and it's good. So Carpenter in Buffalo salvaging 3 as he hits from 46. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Buffalo scoring drive, 9 plays, 52 yards, just under 5 minutes. Stan Carpenter boots in a 46-yard field goal. Only 2 field goals today to show for this Buffalo offense. Eric Page back deep. 5 yards inside his own end zone, and he will play it. Page cuts across the field, across the 15, brought down at the 20. And that is where Manuel and Buffalo will have it, or Tampa rather, and Mike Glennon when we come back. All Tampa early 2nd half. Spiro Ditas, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew with you from Tampa on what has been a gorgeous afternoon. 24-6. All Buccaneers with 10-11 to play early in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10, Mike Glennon. Here's Bobby Rainey. 80-yard touchdown run on Tampa's opening possession of the afternoon. Greg Schiano, one of the more animated head coaches we've got in the NFL. Here's Schiano earlier in the year. Not sure what you call that. And he has been hot, Steve, all day today. Here he was earlier pleading his case with the officials.
He's into it. He's like a caged dog, you know. When he wants to get the officials' attention, he looks like he wants to run out there in the field, but he can't cross that electric invisible fencing or something, you know, to get out there and do what he wants to do.
Whether you like him or don't, as a football coach, you have to respect him for what he's battled through this year. That early season firestorm as Randy cuts across the middle of the field, brought down by Nikel Roby. 0-8. Stevie had people all over the city calling for his head, but was able to right this ship. 3 straight wins. Obviously, the disappointment last week at Carolina. But Schiano's still surviving.
And you know, I had never met Greg Schiano before Friday. What an engaging guy. We had a great conversation with him Friday, and if there's any doubt, there was a lot of speculation he had lost his locker room. No way. These players love playing for him. There's no doubt that he's in control of this team still.
3rd and 5. Glennon from the shotgun. He's got all day to throw until then. Sacked. Marcel Darius getting there for Buffalo. Glennon had time, and that's what you call coverage sack. First time they've got to Glennon today.
Yeah, Marcel Darius, his 7th sack of the year, looping around, and you're exactly right, Spiro. There was nobody to go to for Mike Glennon on that play. Coverage sack all the way, and Buffalo adds to their NFL leading sack total defensively.
44th sack for this Buffalo defense. They had 36 all of last season. Remarkable turnaround. There's the punt by Conant, fielded by McKelvin inside the 35, cuts across the middle of the field and forced out right at the 50. Brian Leonard forcing him out. 51-yard punt. Darius making it happen for the Buffalo defense. See the average drive start today. Big part of why Tampa Bay leads big, 24-6. As E.J. Manuel takes this Buffalo offense back onto the field. Rare chance that they've had a short field. He finds Chandler over the middle. Chandler, Steve, beat himself up all week. And what an eventful week he has had. His wife giving birth to a daughter after the bitter disappointment, the fumble in overtime last week that set up the Atlanta game winner in the extra period.
Yeah, just a terrible time for a very uncharacteristic fumble by Scott Chandler, and he felt terrible about it. He's a good tight end.
This is Spiller on 2nd and short, just trying to get to the marker. But Spiller and Jackson really struggling today to gain footing for Buffalo.
Well, you got the sense coming into the game that Doug Marrone felt like they were going to have to make plays in the passing game because he really respected the defensive front for Tampa Bay, and he's been proven right, and they just haven't made enough plays, enough positive plays in the passing game.
Spiller just 15 yards. Jackson only 12. E.J. Manuel actually is their leading runner today. 3rd and 1, Manuel, 1st down and more. Over the middle, that's the backup tight end Lee Smith, 30-year man out of Marshall. 7 yards as Manuel moves the chance.
I like the call. 3rd and short, Tampa Bay playing heavy run. You're in a heavy run formation. Give the rookie a chance to make a play. He went through his progression. The big play wasn't there. Knew exactly where his safe throw was for the 1st down.
1st and 10. Nice cutback by Jackson, but excellent pursuit. They just kept coming. Gerald McCoy, the 4th-year defensive tackle in the middle.
Doug Marrone told us that Gerald McCoy was the big concern up front. Akeem Spence, though, the rookie 4th-round draft choice, was the one that forced Fred Jackson to make that first cut. Gerald McCoy was there to clean up. They're very, very stout inside this defensive front.
Manuel on 2nd and 10, and that was it picked? Mason Foster making the catch, and it's Tampa football.
Stevie Johnson saying it hit the ground. We'll get a look at it.
3rd interception thrown by Manuel, and the nightmare continues for Buffalo. Back with you in Tampa, some of the pretty pictures. 24-6 as the last interception by Mason Foster still under review. The call on the field is interception, so they need conclusive video evidence to overturn.
And there's no doubt, Spur, you can see that that ball could be being bobbled, but we don't have enough angles at the right angle to see whether he actually did control this football all the way through. There's always a body. Get out of the way, Stevie Johnson. Let us see that ball. You can see it might be touching the ground right there.
Foster 2 interception returns for touchdowns this season. He's been a big play guy for this Bucs defense.
The problem is it's got to be clear. We're going to look at it one more time and see if we can see if that ball does hit the ground. It's just the shadows, the shade. It's hard to tell. I mean, I think the ball made contact with the ground, but it's not clear. That's the problem. I do believe that this ball was not clearly possessed by Foster. But remember, it was ruled an interception, so for them to overturn it, it's got to be clear that he did not have control of that football. I don't think we got enough evidence of that.
If it stands,
After
it's Manuel's third.
The ruling on the field stands. Tampa Bay, first down.
Again, E.J. Manuel entering play today. Just 4 picks in 249 passes. Today, 21 pass attempts, 3 picks.
And that was a terrible decision on that last throw. That's not even remotely debatable. I don't know who he was throwing that football to. Obviously, he was throwing it to Stevie Johnson, but Stevie Johnson had no chance to catch that football. So a bad decision by E.J. Manuel.
So here's Mike Glennon onto the field. Glennon today just 8 of 20. A couple of touchdown passes, also the 2 interceptions. Pitch play to Rainey. Unable to get to the outside, brought down by the linebacker Manny Lawson, a Nebraska native, taken with the 22nd overall pick back in 2006 by San Francisco. They dump him for a loss of 3.
Well, aside from a couple of big plays they've given up and a couple of inopportune penalties, badly timed penalties, this Buffalo defense has played pretty well today. And you know, you take away the 80-yard touchdown and the 38-yard touchdown pass, the touchdown run by Rainey, and the touchdown pass to Vincent Jackson. They played pretty stout, and they're still playing very hard.
Not always easy to do at this time of year for a team that is just about eliminated from postseason contention. Second and long pass play. Glennon overthrowing Jackson, and a late marker comes in. Leotis McKelvin was the man on the coverage.
Now, again, if this is illegal contact against Leotis McKelvin, which it looks like it may be.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. Spot foul. Automatic first down.
This is just a terrible penalty. I mean, you got them backed up in their own end zone, 2nd and 13. I don't know what he's thinking about. Vincent Jackson loves to go deep. He didn't even make really a stutter move.
72. 7-2 is reported
It was a
eligible.
subtle hold, Steve, but enough to draw the flag.
It's contact down the field, enough to make Vincent Jackson have to adjust his route due to the contact.
There's Mike Pettin, the defensive coordinator for Buffalo. Boy, you think he's a little bit upset right now. It's been a long day for the Bills and really a long season. 24-6 on CBS. Well, Greg Schiano's Bucs have not necessarily been a third quarter team this season. Shut out in 9 of the 12 games that they've played. Right now up 24-6, 5 and change to play, third quarter. We're at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa as the sun falls behind the clouds here. Here's Rainey past the line of scrimmage and brought down at about the 50. Kiko Alonso on another tackle for Buffalo. Tomorrow on CBS, Melissa McCarthy and Billy Gardell star in a new episode of the hit comedy Mike and Molly. Tomorrow, 9/8 Central, only CBS. Spiro Ditas, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew with you. Tampa Bay up 24-6, 3-9 on the season. Eliminated from postseason contention, a team that hasn't made the dance since 2007. Look at Rainey, more than doubling up what the entire Buffalo Rush offense has done today. Play action from Glennon on 2nd and 7. Rainey going backwards. Alonso getting there once again. Steve, how impressed have you been watching this kid on tape?
You know what I'm impressed about is his instinct. I mean, look at the intensity. Number one, he is not fooled and not intimidated or caught off guard by anything. He was thinking screen. He knew what his assignment was, and he's athletic enough to close the gap and make the tackle. Very impressive young player with a great future in front of him.
Defensive Rookie of the Month in September. Had a 22 tackle game in Week 6 in an overtime loss against Cincinnati. The tackle for loss sets up a 3rd and 15. Running from the shotgun, that one too high. Through the hands of Dawson. The 23-year-old rookie out of TCU.
No excuse for this. Mike Glennon made the right read. It was another one of those exotic looks by Buffalo. It was a very uncharacteristic or abnormal coverage structure. But Mike Glennon knew what was coming. He was expecting it. Made the right read to a wide open receiver. No pressure. He's got to make a better throw than that.
Conan had a 50-yarder earlier in the quarter. And a fair catch as this one bounces through the end zone. And they will mark it at the 20. Aerial coverage of today's game being provided by MetLife. High above the field here at MetLife Stadium. Steve, we have now seen Mike Glennon for 3 quarters today, up 24-6. Obviously a couple of mistakes. Started so well. A touchdown in each of his first 8 games, an NFL record. Obviously he's kind of stubbed his toe here the last couple of weeks. Is he, in your mind, at this point, the long-term answer here, quarterback?
I believe he's shown enough to warrant that strong consideration.
Here's Spiller on the cutback. Minimal gain out past the 20 and brought down at the 22.
And I believe that, you know, there's obviously a lot of speculation about Greg Schiano's future. I believe that whether Schiano is here or not, whatever the coaching situation is, Glennon has shown enough to go into next year, I believe, as the starting quarterback.
2nd and 7, Manuel over the middle, finds Johnson. So Johnson now making some noise, and late markers come in late. 13-yard pass play.
Flags all over the field, one in the backfield as well.
Goldson and Foster on the tackle. A lot of frustrated defensive players, Steve. Really both teams with some of these calls.
Face mask. Defense number 29. Personal foul. Face mask. Offense number 79. Penalties offset. Replay 2nd down.
So Eric Pierce penalized for Buffalo, and Leonard Johnson, the cornerback for the Bucs.
Right there is the face mask. You see him just catch Stevie Johnson as he caught the football. Offsetting penalties. Replayed it down.
2nd and 7 from the 22. Manuel finding Jackson out of the backfield. Little cutback, and Jackson making it happen. 1st down Buffalo as he is across the 30, 10 yards, and a Bills 1st down.
This is, in my opinion, one of the best plays that E.J. Manuel's made today, and this is what he's shown on film previously. He drops back to pass. He doesn't like what he sees up the field. He immediately finds his check down, Fred Jackson, and you got an athlete in the open field making a guy miss. You pick up the 1st down. It's just not making your mind up before the play.
Spiller, as they come at him here with the 2-headed tandem of Spiller and Jackson. That time 5-yard dance. Nice run on 1st down. Tackle made by Adrian Claiborne.
And back to that check down. You remember our conversation with Doug Marrone yesterday, Spiro. He told us they've been trying to pound it into his head all year long. Check downs are good. If you don't see what you like up the field, know where your running backs are, take a positive gain.
Manuel on 2nd and 6. And that is caught. That's Robert Woods. Tackle made by Mason Foster. They will spot it inside the 45, and now
Ruling on the field.
they say incomplete.
Incomplete pass. 3rd down.
Oh, that's a good catch by Robert Woods. I think this is going to be overturned. It looked like that ball wasn't under control, and it wasn't, but he managed to pin it against his body before it hit the ground.
And now they will challenge. As Doug Marrone throws the challenge flag onto the field. Now late penalty marker.
Yeah, I believe this is the proper challenge by Doug Marrone. That angle we just saw showed that he was bobbling the
Buffalo
ball.
is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
There is no penalty, just a challenge here by Doug Marrone, the Buffalo head coach, with 1:49 to play in this third quarter. And Tampa up big, 24-6. You know, when talking about E.J. Manuel, we sat down with Doug Marrone yesterday. He said the first time he sat down with him, Steve, he was so impressed. He picked up the phone, called his 33-year-old offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, and said, I'm not sure if this kid can play, but boy, is he impressive. As we take another look at it. Steve, I don't think it ever touched the ground.
No, I don't think it did either. I think it was, if we don't zoom it in, I think we can see very clearly that this ball does not hit the ground. And this is the views that the referee, the official, will be looking at. You can see, definitely not under control yet. It looks like it's coming out, but he scoops his hand underneath it. That ball clearly never hits the ground. It's pinned up against his belly. So I think it's just a great athletic play by Robert Woods. And that should be ruled a catch, in my opinion. And you know, you're right too. We had the opportunity to sit down with E.J. Manuel, and that was as soon as he left the room, we all kind of looked at each other and said, "Wow, what an impressive guy." I mean, looks when he comes in the room, nice, clean dress, looked like he could run a board meeting, right. And very articulate and very, you know, cordial and fun and animated. Really just a pleasant conversation.
Well, Robert Woods, one of his young targets. Woods, the guy that they took with their second-round pick. Call on the field is incomplete pass. Woods had that big 33-yard reception last week. If you watched that Buffalo-Atlanta game in the fourth quarter to set up a touchdown, great throw on that play by E.J. Manuel. Again, Bill Vinovich, our referee, now trying to determine where they're going to spot the football.
That's the first time I think we've gotten in the booth like that.
Yeah,
that's a great shot to see what's going on into there. They actually are working in there, aren't they?
Only on CBS.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is reversed. It is a completed catch. The receiver had his hands underneath the ball never hit the ground. 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. Buffalo is not charged with timeout.
That's a great job by our camera crew, our production crew, to come up with that angle. It was very clear, I think, and the right call was made.
So finally a break for Doug Marrone and his Bills. 9-yard pass play credited to Robert Woods. More penalties. And this will be a false start.
False start. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Eric Wood got a little flinch there. You're going to see right here. He starts to, he started to snap the ball, and he was hoping nobody saw him. Unfortunately, you can't hide out here.
There's Wood among the top centers, certainly in the NFL. 50 a man out of Louisville. They'll mark it outside the 40, and more markers. Well, this has the feel now of a preseason game.
False start. Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Spiro, we've talked through the breaks about one concept that football people really talk a lot about, the hidden yardage. All right? And it happened on the drive earlier when E.J. Manuel had that nice completion to put them inside the 20-yard line. They get a penalty. It puts them back outside the 40-yard line. So they lose that 20-plus yards that were made on that play. Right here, same kind of thing. You have these penalties, just keeps moving the ball back. Doesn't show up in the stats all the time, but it still shows up in the game planning.
Woods smacked it, comes loose, and Levante David has it. David cuts back, he's still going. Second cutback. And finally brought down at about the 12-yard line. Robert Woods absolutely hammered.
Well, this is a big-time hit. E.J. Manuel led Robert Woods into a big headache right there. That was Darrelle Revis with the hit, and again, Mr. Opportunity, Levante David right there to scoop it up. for another interception. And Robert Woods, you feel for him. He had no idea that was coming. But in his defense, he got back up and tried to get in on the tackle. But just another terrible bad break for the Buffalo Bills.
So it's ruled a completion and then a fumble by Woods. And what a major league hit by Darrelle Revis. Revis had the sack earlier. 7 combined turnovers on the afternoon. Short field for Glennon. Rainey on 1st and 10. Lunges inside the 10. Big day for Bobby Rainey. 17 takes, 109 yards, 80 of them coming on that early touchdown run.
You know what? I would never put this on E.J. Manuel because he's trying to make a throw. He led him into that hit. It was just a good play by Darrelle Revis. But as a quarterback, as you mature a little bit, you learn how to maybe stop your receiver in his tracks so you don't run him into that hit. Because bad things happen, obviously.
Eric Lorg in motion. This is 2nd and 7. Glennon has time. Incomplete. Steve, how long does it take you as a quarterback to have that kind of a feel? Is it a couple of years, that process? How long is it?
Well, something like that should register right now with E.J. Manuel because he's now seen it, and the coaches will talk about it tomorrow. They'll say, hey, you break the pocket, you see him open, put the ball on his back shoulder so it will force him to stop and make that catch as opposed to running him into a headache. So next time he's in that situation, he hopefully will automatically adjust. Hey, there's a guy waiting outside. I got to stop him because these guys in the NFL, the other guys are paid a lot of money to make plays too. And you give Darrelle Revis a chance to break on the ball or make a hit, he's going to make it most of the time.
Looks like Tampa has to burn a timeout. So 17 seconds remaining in what has been a slowly moving third quarter. A lot of stoppages. We've had the challenge, a lot of penalties, 12 combined penalties between the two teams. So 24-6 our score. Greg Schiano with some last-minute instructions here for Glennon. A lot of people feel like Schiano's future here, his fortunes in Tampa, whether he stays or goes, Steve, are going to be tied to this young man, the 3rd-round pick out of North Carolina State, who made everyone during that 3-game winning streak forget about the 0-8 start and forget about the whole Josh Freeman debacle.
And as you've stated, Spiro, he has struggled the last couple weeks, but he's still showing flashes, the things that you want to see out of a young quarterback. He's going to make the mistakes. You hope it doesn't cost you ball games, but he is progressing and developing.
That's Underwood in motion, 3rd and 7. I don't think I've ever seen a game like that. It's almost like every snap there's a penalty.
5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
There you see Jeremy Zuta, their center. Now, sometimes even a win doesn't feel like one with all the mistakes that a team can make. And certainly a long way still yet for Tampa Bay to put this one away.
You asked Greg Schiano, a win always feels like a win in the NFL.
You're right. 3rd and 12 after the latest penalty. Glennon airing it out. It's caught. Touchdown. Vincent Jackson, 2nd of the day.
I don't know if he was in bounds, Spiro. What a great throw and catch. I just think I don't know if he got both feet in the back of the end zone. We'll get a look at it and see here, but man, that's big time. Man, if you go by the toes, he just might be in. The left toe is down first.
The previous play is under review.
It's just a question of whether that right toe actually hits it. Now remember again, it's ruled a touchdown. So we got to have clear evidence that those 2 feet, the 2nd foot did not get in. Now the heel, is the left heel out before the right toe hits?
From that angle, it looks like it may have been out. Every scoring play, of course, subject to review. And how about the little push-off from Jackson there?
Oh, yeah.
He saw the little shove to the back of
Bird. The right toe is down. Okay, well, that angle shows the right toe down. So the right toe definitely was down inbounds. Now the question is it the right toe down before the left heel hits? Man. Both toes come down inbounds. So, I mean, I think this is going to end up being not overturned because it's just not clear enough whether that right foot got down in time.
So again, we are under review here. Call on the field, a touchdown for Vincent Jackson. If it stands, it's a 14-yard scoring strike. Jackson had a 38-yarder in the first half. Now, we weren't even sure this morning if Jackson was going to play today.
Well, he is
that hamstring pull late in the game last week at Carolina. Today going over 1,000 yards, Steve, once again in his career. Doing it for his second straight year and the 5th time in his career.
And Greg Schiano told us that there's nobody on the team, and nobody's ever been around, that practices harder than Vincent Jackson.
Steve, he says he trusts him blindly. He's never been around a guy who practices every movement, every route he runs 100%.
That's high praise, too.
From a guy who is a stickler for details.
Ruling on the field is reversed. It's an incomplete pass. When the receiver comes down on his toes, the heel must also be inbound.
That's
4th down.
You know, I didn't think it was clear enough to overturn it. I do not at all disagree with the call. You have to have conclusive evidence. So obviously they felt that left heel hit before the right toe. He talked about the heel hitting before the toe.
So they will take the 6 points off the board, and Ryan Lindell on to attempt a 32-yard attempt. Spot down, and the kick is good. 27-6. Tampa Bay extending its lead. 7 seconds remaining on this 3rd quarter clock. And can Buffalo make a game out of this over the final 15 minutes? Tonight on 60 Minutes, the Navy SEALs story of bravery and survival, plus the people who knew Nelson Mandela best. On 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS. Buffalo, 4 turnovers today. It's been an issue, Steve, all year long.
Yeah, the tip ball early, Levante David on the receiving end, and then that was another great interception by Tampa Bay. Then you have the Leotis McKelvin fumble on the punt return, and then right there, the last one, the big hit by Darrelle Revis, and the opportunistic Levante David cashing in one more time. That was Jonathan Banks on the 2nd interception, I believe. But it's just been a way too many mistakes for the Buffalo Bills offensively to expect to win the ball game. You know, fortunately for them, only 6 points off the turnovers, but you know, it's still, you can't win when you're turning the ball over that many times.
Now, Marone wondered aloud this week how his team would respond after that very disheartening loss in Toronto last Sunday against Atlanta. A game that they seemingly had won. That late fumble in overtime by Scott Chandler. Won by the Falcons. Marquise Goodwin unable to get even to the 15-yard line, brought down, and that will bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter in Tampa. Bucs 27, Bills 6. We'll return to Tampa after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS is locked into the playoff chase. A lot of you will see New England at Miami. And then the second half of our doubleheader, Jets in Carolina to take on Cam Newton and the Panthers. It all starts with the NFL Today presented by Southwest Airlines. JB, Dan, Coach, Shannon, and Boomer from our New York studios. 27-6 as we begin the 4th quarter here. Spiro Dita, Steve Berline, our entire CBS crew with you from Tampa. Week 14, this interconference matchup. And so far it has been all Bucs. 1st and 10, Manuel to Jackson. A lot of real estate over the middle. Brought down at the 25-yard line. Second effort gets him to the 26. 14 yards and a Bills first down.
Nice first play to start this drive off. That second game next week, talking about the Jets against Carolina, the other rookie quarterback. We got E.J. Manuel, Mike Glennon here, Geno Smith. Be interesting to see how he finishes out this year. A little bit more tenuous situation there than these two teams.
Here's Jackson. Again, penalty marker comes in behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Offense number 77. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's Cordy Glenn, the left tackle. Second-year guy out of Georgia. I don't think there was any doubt, Steve, about
what is
this.
that? What am I pulled the wrong tool out right there. Sorry about that. Did that hurt your eyes, Spiro?
A little bit.
All right, hurt mine.
Almost tackled them on the play.
Yeah, he did. It basically was a 2-point takedown if you're scoring like a wrestling match.
13 combined penalties today. Feels like 43. First and 20. Spiller, nice cut back, makes the first guy miss. He's still going. Spiller, and he may go. Marker thrown. They won't get to Spiller, but what is the penalty about? 83 yards if it stands. And now we await the call from Vinovich.
It's going to be a hold, I think, Spiro, and this is the hidden yardage I'm talking about.
And Spiller looks like he's a bit hobbled on the play. As if it can't get worse for Buffalo.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, Vinovich didn't give us a number. We think the hold took place left
penalty was on
side of your
number
screen,
10.
right there.
Right here.
That's the center, Eric Wood.
And it's from the spot of the foul, so they got the first down, but the hidden yardage, we talked about it earlier, that should have been an 83-yard touchdown, and instead it becomes a gain of 20 yards. And you wonder, I mean, these are things that you sit back and you look at it. I mean, that block by Eric Wood, was it significant? Sure it was. But just push the guy out of the way. He's not going to make the tackle on the fastest guy in your team. Don't even give him the opportunity to throw the flag. I mean, you're a 300-plus pound man. If you can just push that guy out of the way, and he's not going to make the tackle.
So another little delay here.
It's first down and 5 yards after the penalty.
First down and 5 yards. Okay.
Doug Barone scratching his head.
Yeah, I think everybody's trying to figure out why it got to be 1st and 5. How does that happen?
So it is 1st and 5. They mark it at the 33-yard line. Sideline throw to Johnson. Breaks a couple of tackles. Brought down just short of the 40. 6 yards. A frustrating year for Stevie Johnson, a guy who very candidly admits, Steve, that he is a very emotional player. This guy who's been active on social media said he heard all the criticism this week after the late fumble that potentially could have set up Buffalo with the game-winning field goal at the end of that game against Atlanta. Bad throw by Manuel. It's all part of the growing pains for a stud like Johnson playing with a rookie quarterback.
And that was great pressure up the middle by the force inside that Tampa Bay has. Gerald McCoy. Pressure on E.J. Manuel, had to throw before he was ready, but you're right. It's a frustrating situation. He knows that people are talking about Buffalo. If they're going to keep him next year, there's a lot of talk that maybe he's not worth the money.
Manuel hit as he threw it, excuse me. Mason Foster coming right up the gut. Landed a pretty good smack on the rookie.
Well, this is as bad as it gets if you're an NFL quarterback. The pressure's going to come right up the middle by Foster. He's unblocked pretty much, and man, look at that. You know, I don't think people really understand how much that hurts. I mean, it looks like it hurts, but you know, when you're hit as a quarterback after you let go of the ball, those are the worst. The sack, they don't hurt nearly as much as those plays where you're totally exposed, stepping into the hit as the hit's coming to you. That takes a toll, man.
We asked Manuel what the biggest difference is between college and the pros. He says the hits hurt a little more.
He's 100% right.
Mason Foster again, back-to-back defensive plays for the Bucs. And Manuel just didn't have time.
There's no intentional grounding. And number 22 is in the area. 4th down.
And Mason Foster coming again, as we talked about early in the game. If you show the inability to handle pressure, you're basically putting out an invitation for pressure. And the young quarterback and the offensive line, obviously, they're having guys running free in his face. You can't put that blame on E.J. Manuel, but Buffalo's not been able to handle it.
Another punt for Mormon, so not a happy return to the state of Florida for the former Seminole quarterback, E.J. Manuel. Here's Buffalo offense failing to score a touchdown today, and they are down big early in the fourth on CBS. Coming up on the Subway postgame show from New York, JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower will have all the latest scores and highlights. All coming up on the Subway postgame show. 27-6 you score. All Tampa today, despite a number of mistakes that they've made, multiple turnovers, a lot of penalties. Buffalo has just been bad today, both sides of the football. Bobby Rainey, one of the stars of the afternoon for the Bucs. Jairus Byrd on the tackle, but not before a run of 9.
This is a nice individual effort by Bobby Rainey. Look at that cut, and then the second cut back up into the original hole. The ability to make that first guy miss in the backfield and still cut out of it and make a good positive gain out of it. That's good running, man. This guy has opened up a lot of eyes. Great average today, of course, blown up by the 80-yard run on the first carry of the day, but he's a good, solid running back.
Second 100-yard game since joining this team after week 7. 2nd and 1, Glennon. Little shuffle pass, boy, dangerous play, trying to find Rainey. Marcel Darius applying the pressure. Nigel Bradham, the linebacker on the coverage, probably thought he could have reached back and picked it.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. He put it on the left shoulder of Nigel Bradham.
72.
I mean, I don't know.
72 if your court is eligible.
I don't know what Mike Glennon was doing on that play. If anything, he should have just thrown it at his feet where he has no chance to make the catch. Or throw it in front of your running back out of bounds. Throw that little shot. You didn't want to take a sack. Smart play on that point of view.
Hasn't had to throw much so far in the second half. You saw the numbers. Rainey only needed a yard, but he loses yardage. Had to get to the 29. Unable to get to the line of scrimmage, and Tampa will punt.
Yeah, great pressure off that right side of the Buffalo defense. The offensive left side. Mario Williams was in on it. Not giving up that line of scrimmage, a loss of 1.
Well, Bobby Rainey out of Western Kentucky, 26 years of age. We told you released by Cleveland after week 7. Browns didn't even want him. And what a godsend he has been here. All the injuries that they've had. Of course, Doug Martin lost in October, as we mentioned. Rainey had a 163-yard game in week 11 against Atlanta. 3 touchdowns, and today 120 on the ground for Greg Schiano. 27-6 you score early fourth quarter on CBS. Here in Tampa, rough day for E.J. Manuel. That last turnover has been changed now to a interception. Initially it was called a reception and a fumble. So E.J. Manuel now officially with 4 interceptions thrown today, with Buffalo down, Steve, 27-6.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. That ball thrown to Robert Woods, knocked out by Darrelle Revis. I don't think Woods ever had complete control of it. So I thought it was an interception from the get-go. Levante David with his 2nd today. Pretty impressive young linebacker, I'll tell you.
Well, can Manuel salvage anything here over the last 11 and change? Manuel, tough stiff arm to keep the play alive. Able to get to the edge, forced out of bounds at about the 30. And marker thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Pressure coming by the rookie Spence.
Yeah, they got Eric Wood. Body slammed Gerald McCoy, I believe.
But I tell you what, Wood has had a rough day. He had the penalty that brought back the Spiller 83-yard touchdown run earlier.
Here he is. He's the center right in the middle of your screen. And then, you know what? I think he got victimized right there. It looked like he body slammed Akeem Spence. But right there, I think Spence just got off balance. I think Eric Wood was a victim of a very, very good acting job or just a bad angle by the official.
2nd and 12 after the penalty. Manuel. This is Jackson. Tripped up at the 20, falls forward to about the 22-yard line. Jonathan Banks, the 2nd-round pick on the tackle. Banks taken with the 43rd overall pick. Had an interception earlier. Doesn't have great speed, Steve, at corner, but boy, he closes quickly. As they will now set up a 3rd and 18. Tampa Bay, meantime, using a timeout. So 10:25 to play. Injured Bucs player. It looks like it's William Golston, the rookie out of Michigan State, that they're looking at over on the Buffalo sideline. Golston, the 4th-round pick. No doubt was in front of his TV last night between meetings, watching that incredible win for the Spartans.
That was a great football game. Michigan State surprising so many people coming back, and I don't like to say much good about Michigan State because I'm a Notre Dame guy. It's a pretty heated rivalry right there, but what a great job that they have done in coming back from an early season loss to Notre Dame, but to come back and become one of the top 5 teams in the country and really take it to Ohio State. Ohio State, Urban Meyer had this team back in the hunt. They're in control of that game, but Michigan State came back to find a way to win it at the end. What a great watch that was.
Well, we've got 2 head coaches making a leap from college to the pros. Schiano, of course, 2 years ago. Doug Marrone leaving Syracuse to take over the reins of Buffalo this season.
It's a dangerous situation. 3rd and 18. Kind of desperate here for E.J. Manuel.
He's got time, nowhere to throw. Manuel.
Oh, that's a penalty.
No flag.
Wow, that to me
is Deshaun Goldson getting there.
Yeah.
Goldson, a guy who's been fined multiple times this year for hits.
Yeah, he's been fined, right? E.J. Manuel definitely giving himself up.
Well, I'll say this. We've seen Marcus throwing for less than that.
And he came in with the helmet, too. I'm surprised. And this is a guy that's been, as you stated, Spiro, he's been fined, suspended, and appealed, and won the appeal, and fined again for that one, and then suspended a third violation. The suspension was actually enforced.
Fair catch signaled once again by Eric Page. Takes a bounce inside the 20. 52-yard punt by Mormon. Well, this was one of the main attractions today. These 2 rookie quarterbacks who have each shown flashes of brilliance and other moments of alarming mistakes. And today, not quite what either of them had in mind. 27-6 your score, 9:20 to play in this 4th quarter. Tampa Bay 3-9 on the season. This was a team, Steve, that didn't think they were in for a rebuild season at all. 7-9 last year in Schiano's first year here. They thought they had everything in place, and of course everything blew up with Josh Freeman. 8 straight losses to start the year, then the 3-game winning streak. The hope is that Glennon continues to develop. He's their guy. Obviously Schiano's future is still unknown depending on how they finish the year. But you talk about an up and down year for a franchise. This has been it, mostly down, unfortunately, for the Bucs. 2nd and 7, they keep it on the ground. It's Brian Leonard, minimal gain.
Well, I think Greg Schiano content to just run the clock here, keep the ball run up the middle, especially with the way that his young quarterback is playing. The 2 things that he told us yesterday he thought would be keys to the game. He said turnovers, winning the turnover battle. They're winning the turnover battle. It's not been a thing of beauty for Tampa Bay either, but they are winning. Second, he said the quarterback with the highest QB rating was probably going to be a big factor. Now, these both have terrible quarterback ratings today, but I think Glennon's is a little bit better than E.J. Manuel's.
Yeah, Glennon entering this one today, 11th in the NFL in passer rating at 91.6. That time incomplete. Late marker coming in. Jackson, the intended receiver. There's Glennon, who's going to celebrate his 24th birthday on Thursday.
prior to the pass, holding, defense number 24. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Gilmore.
That's Stephon Gilmore getting physical with Vincent Jackson. Yeah.
Easy call to make that time.
Yeah, that was definitely a hold.
Well, Gilmore having to deal with the surgery on the left wrist. Missed the first 5 games of the season. Had to tape it up. It was almost like he was playing with a club and almost basically playing with one hand earlier in the year. Very frustrating. Was unable to grip, get a good handle on the football or the opposing player. It's slowly starting to resemble the player that he looked like, Steve, last year as a very highly touted rookie for the Bills.
Yeah, we've talked about him a few times today, but I'm very impressed with this young man. He's got a great future in front of him. He came in last year as a rookie and played at a very high level and earned the respect of every team he played around the league, especially, you know, his fearlessness going against the top receivers.
There's Gilmore, second year, former first-round pick out of South Carolina. Played under Steve Spurrier in the SEC. He's Buffalo's best cover corner. You see him at the top of your picture. Aaron snap. Glennon wise to just fall on it on a 2nd and 8 play. They'll lose 14 yards.
Well, Zuta, I believe there, thought for whatever reason that Mike Glennon was under the center. Excuse me, that's Ted Larson, the center in there. He thought that Mike Glennon was up underneath him, and you wonder how that can happen. Well, there's a lot of rear end there, and hard sometimes. There's so much going on, and sometimes the quarterback, he can't really feel his hands up in there, and he for whatever reason he thought Glennon was there. It does happen. That's not the first time I've seen it happen.
So 3rd and 22 after the Aaron snap.
3rd and final timeout. Tampa Bay. 30-second timeout.
So Tampa Bay will take its final timeout. There's Glennon, the 6'6" quarterback. 6.5 minutes to play in this 4th quarter. Saturday, CBS Sports puts on a matchup that stands alone. All grit, all guts, all glory. The Army-Navy game. The hoopla begins with college football today. And we all look forward to that. We'll be in front of our TVs next Saturday on CBS. That should be on everyone's bucket list. Anyone who's never been to that game. What an incredible atmosphere that is. We've had a chance to do a couple of the Service Military Academy games with Army and Air Force, of course.
It is
Navy as well.
It is a special environment, and those guys get so pumped up for that game. CBS fortunate to have it on our airwaves.
3rd and 22. Kyle Williams making the tackle. Williams and Marcel Darius. Most people around the league feel like that is the best interior defensive tackle duo in the NFL. Williams, the 2-time Pro Bowler, former 5th-round pick. What a career he's made for himself. 8 years out of LSU.
And you think of defensive tackles more so as run stoppers. You look at what those two guys have done this year, both Kyle Williams and Marcel Darius, 7 sacks apiece. So they're pushing the pocket. You got great pressure off the edge with Mario Williams and Jerry Hughes, Manny Lawson. They're getting pressure from everybody.
Opponents had a great day. 50-yarder earlier. McKelvin fumbles a 2nd punt today. And a rough afternoon continues for Leotis McKelvin. Janoris Searcy able to fall on the football. Another dangerous moment. McKelvin rolling the dice, even trying to field that punt. Timeout. Sun setting here in Tampa Bay. Greg Schiano has had to watch his offense struggle a little bit, Steve. That's an understatement.
That's an understatement. How do you win a ball game with -7 yards in the second half?
Well, they're going to do it today. E.J. Manuel bear hugged by a couple of defenders. Gerald McCoy getting there first. Also Stephen Means there, the rookie who played his college ball at Buffalo.
Well, we do know why, obviously, the fact that E.J. Manuel has been hit as many times as he's been hit, sacked, hurried, pressured, intercepted. Penalties on Buffalo, all those factor into the fact that they have just not played well enough to win this ball game.
7 sack of Manuel. Derek Landry, 7th-year guy out of Notre Dame, getting there.
Well, you know, you get the inside pressure that forces E.J. Manuel to step outside, and you've got the perfect defensive end tackle stunt with a tackle looping outside right into the area where E.J. Manuel's flushing to, and just a very, very good, well-executed play by the defensive line.
Landry, the free agent signee from Philadelphia, and that basically sums up the day for Buffalo.
You're exactly right. Fred Jackson, who is probably the best all-around football player on this team, who never makes this kind of a mistake, but when it rains, it pours. He's got a screen pass with everybody that he wants out in front of him, his offensive lineman, and plenty of room to run. He's definitely going to pick up the 20 yards for the first down, and he drops a perfectly thrown ball.
Steve, this is such a dangerous part of the year. Buffalo all but mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, but keeping a team motivated over the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season when you're just playing out the string. This one is fielded by Eric Page. He'll be run out outside the 30. But that is a very difficult thing to do. The emotions for a head coach getting the team ready week to week. Coming up, once again, the Subway postgame show will send you to New York. JB, Dan Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower were all the latest scores and highlights. Week 14 around the NFL. The Subway postgame show coming up next.
In the playoff, what you said, Spiro, you're 100% right. That is the biggest challenge in this situation, and it goes back to not only the leadership in the head coach and his ability to convince his team, but it goes back to this veteran leadership in the locker room too, to convince the younger guys, hey, we've all got to buy into this and stick together.
Here's Bobby Rainey. If you've just joined us, second 100-yard run game since joining Tampa Bay earlier in the season, released by Cleveland after week 7. Came into the league undrafted with Baltimore last year. Had that breakout performance week 11 against Atlanta. Greg Schiano says Stevie loves him. Just a complete back, obviously a great runner, good blocking back as well. And where would they be without Rainey right now after the injuries that they've had at running back? Rainey today, 22 attempts, 127 yards.
You've got Michael Hill in the backfield right now, the free agent running back out of Missouri Western State.
So many injuries. We talked about it earlier. They had to put one of their defensive starters, Jonathan Casillas, on IR. Steve, the 14th Buck player that they have had to put on season-ending injured reserve this season. I mentioned all the big names. Doug Martin, of course, shoulder injury, late October. He and Williams went down at the end of October. Mike James and the tight end Crabtree.
Yeah, and Mike Glennon really misses Mike Williams in the passing game especially. Now, all those guys are valuable players, but to have another established wide receiver opposite Vincent Jackson would have been huge for this young quarterback.
Here's Hill getting in on the act. Jairus Byrd finally brings him down, 10-yard run as they bring him down at the 50.
Well, give credit to the left side of that line. Jamon Meredith, Donald Penn, of course, center Ted Larson in there now, really moving people out in a situation where Buffalo knows they're going to try and pound the ball. They're still able to make good, solid, positive runs off that left side.
Again, the rushing defense, Steve, has long been one of the problems for the Bills. You can go back a decade. Something Mike Pettin is going to have to figure out as we approach the 2-minute warning. 1st and 10. This is Hill again. Undrafted rookie. 24 years of age. Now again, some extra pushing, another little strum here after the whistle blown. And we get a late penalty right at the line of scrimmage. Bill Vinovich, busy day.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense number 70, 15-yard penalty, down counts, second down. This is the 2-minute warning.
Donald Penn, a Pro Bowler, wants an explanation. 2-minute warning in Tampa on CBS. Greg Schiano and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get their 4th win of the season today. Wasn't pretty. 27-6 as Buffalo Steve will fall to 4-9. Michael Hill remains in the backfield. He'll take the take on 2nd and 22. That time just trying to sidestep his way to the outside. Brought down by Jerry Hughes.
Yeah, good to see. If you're a Tampa Bay fan, good to see Greg Schiano cracking a little smile there as he can kind of relax and hopefully, from his perspective, assume that this team's going to hold on and win the ball game. You just can't ever quite get enough of that feeling, and it's, you know, a lot of hard work put in by these coaches on both sides. The frustration grows on Buffalo's sideline with Doug Marrone.
This is 3rd and 23. Lennon under center. Glennon, I mentioned, will celebrate his birthday. This will help make it a happy birthday week for the young man, as he will go to 4-6 as an NFL starter. And E.J. Manuel, meantime, will fall to 3-6. And the growing pains, Steve, continue. You were a rookie quarterback a long time ago.
Yes.
It's an up and down deal, very emotional, and these guys are going on that roller coaster ride.
Yeah, two young guys, I think, with bright futures. E.J. Manuel, this is probably his worst day as a pro to this point. We'll see how he responds. If my assessment is correct, I think he's going to be able to bounce back from this and continue to get better.
Well, he was hoping to pay back Lennon for that big win that NC State had over Manuel's Seminoles last year. Of course, October the 6th, that memorable game. Florida State was unbeaten at the time. Final numbers, you couldn't tell who won really by those numbers. Obviously, the 4 interceptions by Manuel, an ugly stat on that final board.
Yeah, that's about as bad as it gets from a quarterback's perspective. You know, but you're going to have days like that. Sometimes you run into a buzzsaw, which Buffalo obviously did today in the Tampa Bay defense.
Here's Ronnie Wingo on the carry. And that should take us to the end of the 4th quarter. Oh, Bobby Rainey got the party started, that early 80-yard touchdown run. And through all the mistakes, the penalties, and the turnovers, Greg Schiano and Tampa Bay win it 27-6 and go to 4-9. Special thanks to our crew, our producer Ryan Galvin, and our director Warren Pick. 27-6 your final. Coming up next, the Subway postgame show. Now for Steve Berline, our entire crew. Spiro Ditas saying so long from Tampa Bay. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. We'll join James Brown in New York after this.